how I get inspired to do stuff is, again, it's when I can help other people dream. I'll notice that a lot of times for me, I trick myself, because what I'll do is the things that I know that would inspire me to do where I want to go are stuff that I procrastinate on. In the other words, though, if there was something I needed to do to help somebody else get where they want to go, then I'll drop everything and I'll get it knocked out.
Welcome to episode 17 of the podcast Unlimited Wisdom with Robert Hollis. I am Craig A. Jackman along with Matthew Hollis, and we are so glad to have you with us. Today is going to be really cool. I am looking forward to this episode because the title is Who Inspires You? Let that sink in just a little bit. Okay, now let's get started. Matt, Robert, welcome. What a great topic for the day.
Hey, Craig, it is a great topic. And I know one of the things that I was just sharing that, I really understand that my entire life, I consistently on a day-to-day basis, I'm always looking for humans doing above ordinary things. It is just who I am. And when I think about it, it's like, recently there was NBA, had the playoffs. And, only reason that I was watching the playoffs is because everybody was making a big deal out of this Luka, guy that works for, that plays for Dallas. It's funny. I was going to say works for Dallas, and he does. You guys ever think about that?
It's true.
He's an employee. He's an employee just like anybody else. But everybody was really inspired by him because he's just doing things. He's very, very, very young, but he's doing things that other people are not doing. Just to give you a neat example, in his first few years of being an NBA new player, every record that Michael Jordan had in his first years of being a basketball player, this kid's already broken. So I'm going like,
that's crazy,
man. If this guy is this good, I want to watch a few of the games, right? And he is that good. Do you guys realize that for the first time in the history of NBA, the person that lost the best basketball player in the whole entire playoff series of all the games was this kid? Now his first name is Luka Medevich. I know I'm saying his name weird. So even though they lost and the Celtics won, to think that this kid still outscored every player.
Luka Doncic.
There you think. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm like, I looked it up and I'm like, I'll let Craig pronounce this one.
Yeah. And if you really watch some interviews and stuff with him, he's very lighthearted. He's always having fun. And he's just constantly doing shots that everybody goes, how in the hell did he do that? So they were double teaming him and triple teaming him. And he was still getting 30 points a game. So, but in the midst of watching this, I got inspired by the other two guys. So Julian Brown and then Jason, they spell it Jayson.
Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum,
right? And so I haven't watched basketball in years, so I don't know these kids. But, here they've been together. Boston Celtics haven't won in 16 years. They got 17 banners hanging in the air. The last time they won, I think, was 16 years ago.
And I remember it, to be honest.
And they beat the Lakers.
Huge deal when they beat the Lakers.
Yeah, beat the Lakers. So the Lakers was in it. And so here these kids are. They've been with the Celtics for 9 years. They played in 107 playoff games together, these two guys. And twice they were played in the World Finals and they lost. So now I'm all of a sudden inspired because these kids are going, you couldn't be playing for a better franchise. I'm blessed to be playing here. Done very, very well. Just always just barely missing it. And so for them to come up against this Luca that's going to bury them. And it was fun watching these guys. And what the story was, an inspiration from these two is, that classic thing that everybody likes to see, where they played together as a team. They knew. So the difference was, is they're going like, they're not great players, but wait a minute, you got 6 players on your team and a couple of people off the bench that each scored 10 to 15 points. It was great to watch. And
I
so
bet, yeah.
they were saying another thing that was crazy is that, the 2 players that played together, Brown and Tatum, it's like they wasn't that great of players. So the Dallas never ever thought about we needed to double team either one of these guys. And so to think that Tatum that went through, he didn't have a spectacular, like he had one good game, out of the 4. And a good game was not like 21 points, not 30 points. But hearing their story and how much they believed in each other, and they just kept saying all the time, well, how are you going to stop this guy? And they go, the goal's not to stop him. He's going to make the points anyway. We're just going to work at a team, and all of us are just going to score more than them. And I just went,
That's the goal, right?
oh my God. How simple is this? But
It's the
I
truth.
got on that, Craig, when you said that, is when people say, who inspires you? It's consistently me looking for average people, ordinary people that want to be above average. And so when you just hear these things, I brought it up on another podcast where, John Force, he's 75 or 78 years old. And they had this big competition against all the funny cars. And he goes out and wins it. I think it was his 180th win at the age of 75. And so me, I'm always inspired. I'm always inspired by people that do the little things, the mundane things that we never really talked on a story. I always love bringing it up on the Imaginators, or our inner circle. But this kid that just recently won the spelling bee. You know what I mean? And they showed really short clips of him, because what they did is they came up with a new thing for a tie. So I guess it was like a year ago or so, the 2 that won had to share the award. And so but this kid finished like 109th. I mean, it was like he wasn't even in the 2. So they made new rules to say, listen, if it becomes a tie, it was how many words that you could spell in a time situation. So you can Google it, and the words that I've never heard that they were spitting to this kid, and he was like, prr, 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 and never missed any of them.
Really?
Right? So not only wins $50,000, but because there's this new tiebreaker, he gets it all to himself. But it just showed that, that one year he didn't place, and he was really, really upset. Back that up with the next year, didn't place, so didn't get on stage of the 40 or whatever they pick. And then he finally placed in the top 109 or something like that. The next year after that, he was in the 70s. You know what I mean? So whatever he did at least got him seen on TV. And then he wins the whole damn thing. And I'm like going, see, someone like that, I'm just thinking constantly, I'm looking for people all over the world that are just doing the things that others won't do. That's it. They're so inspiring because they're willing to do it for a little longer. They're willing to look at it more long term. I seen a graphic today on Facebook, and it showed this guy trying to get out of a jail cell. And there was a loaf of bread and then a key to the jail cell. And he was going for the piece of bread. And that to me is the majority of the people on the planet that will either watch this podcast recorded, is that all I'm looking for are people that are saying, give me a shot. I'm willing to do the little things. And so I just wanted to share with you guys starting out that virtually anyone, from doing anything from skipping rocks to sharpening pencils, stacking plastic cups, and all these things. I just love these stories over and over and over and over again of people that are willing to do the little tiny things that everyone can do. They're just willing to do them consistently and disciplined to keep getting a little better each and every day.
It's all
So,
about mastering the mundane that you keep saying, Robert, and doing the basics, and everybody's got to, okay. And I still have to remind myself sometimes, Lord grant me the patience, but I want it now. And I used to say that all the time.
right,
And now I've gotten to the point where it's like, okay, wait a minute. Let's get what I need to get done.
right.
But if I want to move to the next level, and of course, this is also part of the science of getting rich.
Yes.
You have to take care of yourself. That's the most important thing. Do what you need to do to survive. But if you have a calling, if you have something that's, that itch or that niche that you want to scratch, as I've heard it in the past, then work on that as well, and then get it to the point which you have also shared, so that you can walk away from what your main income is and then do what you love. But you've got to master the mundane to get to that next level. You've got to take that chance.
Right.
And, a lot of people, they use inspiration from others. I mean, how many people have you inspired, Robert, when you think about it? I mean, okay, in addition to, and I'm going to say this, yes, you have 67 millionaires that you have helped to become millionaires, or I should say 67 people that you have helped to become millionaires. But even more, the people who you have inspired to do things better, whether they became millionaires or not. And that is an inspiration for me, at least.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Because,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you look at the person where they are, and you want to help them to get to the next level, whatever that inspiration is, whether it is to become a millionaire or whether it is to become a better person than where they were. And
Right.
that, to me, is, I mean, that's one of the inspirations I will say that I have. That you are one of my mentors, one of the people who has inspired
Aw,
me.
thank you.
And I will say, even for Melody Ryba, and
Right.
definitely your number 55 millionaire. I mean, so yeah, but it's people who lead by example
Yeah.
and who take what they've known. And again, part of your teachings, part of what you've shared, you can only take people as far as where you are right now. But you have such a vast experience of doing that, it's like, okay, who do you want to follow? Well, success leaves clues.
Right.
Documentation beats conversation. I mean, so many things point to a direction of of being inspired. So, yeah, I mean, I'm going to just say it right now. First person who inspires me, you.
Thank you. Thank you. And it's funny because I wasn't looking for that. But thank you very much. That's very, very, very humbling. I am the guy that I never look at myself as being special, or being above average. I just know that I constantly am inspired by people that are willing to just get consistent at something, just better at something. Like, the people that follow me, I'll talk about this guy that inspired me, that, he's broke the Guinness Book of World Records for skipping a rock across water. You know what I mean? And I know a lot of people are going like, I don't get it. I'd rather be around someone that does things above average than be around a bunch of people that are not even interested in doing anything above average. It's just
Mhm.
bizarre to me, right? And so I really see this correlate with people because I'll ask them. There's two things that I love saying to people is one is even before you ask them, what do they want? Right? What do you want? Most people are embarrassed
Right.
by saying, "I don't know. I don't know." So another thing, a way of saying it that works really, really well is saying, "Listen, and I brought this up to my wife, Terry, today. So we were taking this walk, and I was saying, "Can I ask you a few questions?" She goes, "You know you can." I'm just going like, "Well, they're sort of personal." And she goes, "Uh-oh." And I'm going like, "Okay." So I said, "If someone was interviewing you and asked you if there was a book if there was a book that brought up an aha moment for you, a thing where, we call it a significant emotional event, CSEE, that's something that actually that hit you on such an emotional level, you're no longer that person anymore. You no longer can think that way. And I'm not bragging here, but I for 37 years, once this hit me, the thought of me being either average or working a job for someone is never a thought. Never, ever, ever have I ever had a thought, holy crap, things are bad. I should go get a job. That's how much of a significant emotional event is. It's like I'm no longer doing things the way that other people do them anymore. And so one of the things I did is I asked her if there's any book that did that for her. And she said, no, no. And I said, no chapters, no nothing. She goes, no. And I said, okay. So here's another thought. I said, is there an individual, a single individual that has inspired you or made that moment happen for you? No. Don't you guys find this very interesting?
Yeah. I want to see
Yeah.
where this continues to go.
Yeah. And so then the only other thing that I can think of is when I ask people who inspires you or who has inspired you, right? For my wife, that would be nobody. Nobody or nothing. And she knew that she could ask me that. I mean, that I would answer that question, and regardless of what she said, she wouldn't be judged. She knows that about me. But for people that know my wife, she's very, very, very honest. She's
Yes.
not going to say something. She's not going to bullshit. She's not going to say anything. And so after we shared that, and she said, "Is there a reason that you brought that up?" And I said, "No, I'm just thinking about, me and Matt and Craig will have the Visionaries will have a podcast. And I would rather a person tell me that nothing inspires them or they've never been inspired than bullshit me. See, I can't help someone that is good at lying to themselves or a professional. Now, let's be brutally honest for just 1 millisecond. I I felt sort of like, um, ah, you know what I mean? I just wish she had somebody or had something that inspired her. And then my mind thought a little bit that I'm not that person for her. And my mind's going like, wow, we've been around each other for 40 years and I'm not bragging, but I pulled off some pretty cool shit. But she's not inspired by that. So some people might go, wow, I really relate to your wife, Terry. Because if someone pinned me down and made me answer those questions, they could very possibly be right now in my life, no one's really inspired me to be something better than I am. And that's just it. Now, before we go on, here's another thing is I think that a lot of people, including myself and possibly Matt, I'll let Matt speak for himself. Um, but you know, I know even when we have her on guests, on the Inner Circle or the Imaginator, that people are inspired by her.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Right.
so does it have to do with anything that she's done?
If that's a question, if that's a question to be answered, if I may answer it a little bit,
No, that's what I think is crazy, that
yeah,
she
it's her
can be
quiet confidence.
she what would be the, because I know Matt's done, and Craig, you too, we're all looking for that magic spot, that magic
Yes.
click, right? And so imagine being inspired by people, being inspired by you, but you're not inspired by anyone or anything. You're just living your best life, but everyone's perception of how you're living is something they wish they had.
Yeah. No, I think that that's actually like one of the keys of it all, is like it's interesting that you bring that up, because like the older and the more wiser I feel like I'm becoming, the more I'm becoming aware. And it's interesting because I remember back, there's this one speech that I remember back to, and it's not that it like resonates with me, but I just remember it. And I remember Matthew McConaughey getting his Oscar, right, for Dallas
Right.
Buyers Club, and he did his speech, and he's like, "My hero is me 10 years from now," or some shit like that is what he said, and people were dogging on him for it because they're like, "What do you mean?" And it's like, no, he envisions himself in a sense that he'll accomplish more things, and the hero of the future is himself. And it's interesting because as you start to grow, you can say this person's my hero or that person's my hero. And even the other day, I didn't send this to you, Dad. I meant to, but I forgot. But it had Tom Brady, and he was like in front of this whole group, and this young kid asked him
No,
who
yeah,
his hero
you sent it
was.
to me.
Oh, okay, so I did send it to you. And he breaks down a little bit and says that his dad's his hero, right? And it's interesting because I feel like no matter what, who inspires you or who you're following in that current moment says more about you than it does about the person that you're following.
No doubt.
And that's
No
something
doubt.
that's interesting, right? Like, so even when you bring up mom and you say that stuff, that does come from that quiet confidence, right?
Yeah.
And it does come from that place of like laid backness. And it's interesting because even when I brought up Matthew McConaughey and I read his book, right, or listened to it, he's exuded that quiet confidence like his whole life. You know what I mean? Like that, hey, I'm relaxed, I'm just here going with the flow kind of thing. I would love to exude that more. So it's
Right.
interesting because it's like, well, in certain times in my life, I think that I've had different people that I've looked up to and have inspired me. I mean, the How to Trust Yourself video that you did, Dad, a while back, like really inspired me a lot too.
Wow.
And of course you inspire me. You're my father. So like it's going to be in my list no matter what. But
I
that
appreciate
I
that,
just
my
wanted to
son.
pick something specific
You
lately
inspire me too. You
outside of
inspire me.
outside of our private conversations, which we had just the other day. That was very
Right.
on Father's Day. You had a talk with me that really inspired me and got me back on track to what I want to be doing, right? But that video in particular, like I think anyone that's watching this, like even if you've seen it already, like just go back and watch it again, because I think every single time I fall out of whack and I feel more anxious or I feel more stressed or less inspired, it's always because I'm no longer trusting myself that everything will be okay. Right.
So true. And
And
so
like
we bring this
even,
up,
yeah.
Matt. We bring this up, and I want you to continue on that. Um, your mother has no need within herself to feel like she needs to be inspired by others.
Well, also too, like we would,
Is
I
it that?
love what you
Isn't
said
that the?
earlier. Yeah,
Isn't that the sweet spot?
it is. I love what
Mm-hmm.
you said earlier, which is like, no bullshit. Give me an honest answer. If it's
Right.
nobody, that's an interesting thing, because a lot of people, I think, even if they're in like the most uninspired spot in their lives, will give you some bullshit answer, even
Yeah.
though that is just because, like, I think especially like in our culture and shit, it's so easy just to say something that makes the conversation easier than being like, no one fucking inspires me right now. Because if you said that, then maybe the person that's in your life that is inspired by somebody might go, well, this is who's inspiring me, or this is interesting to me, and share with you. And
Right.
sometimes we just don't want that, right? Like, especially in that mood. But I think it all comes back to trusting yourself. Like, it really
Yeah.
does, even in who you're inspired by, right? So
Right. So like in my later days, I was really, really, really super inspired by you know people that I've always wanted to be around. You know what I mean? So I always thought, God, the dream was, you know, uh, not wait for 6 races a year in Glendive, Montana, for drag racing when I could go to California and race every weekend.
right.
Believe it or not, there's places where you can race 2 or 3 times a night now. I mean, 2 or 3 times a week now. You know what I mean? So you sit there and you say, well, no wonder some of the best drivers came out of that area, because a lot of people don't realize that California, the county of LA County has 77 cities that average over 130,000 people per city. And so people look at that mass population, but they don't realize how many small tracks are in each and one of those places. I mean, so you never leave a county and you could pretty much race every night of the week if you wanted to, and even new tracks. It's got an unfair advantage. So
Absolutely.
I wanted to be there. I wanted to be around this unfair advantage of people that could basically, what would be, just totally immerse themselves in a world of what they want to be great at. Right.
Hmm.
And so, what I think a lot of people don't realize is, let's say they decide that they want to be an entrepreneur, or they want to build a YouTube channel, or they want to do whatever. Um, they're probably misunderstanding that they're not looking to be in a culture or community of like-minded people that really are not very happy with yesterday. and
Right.
and their discipline and their consistency of mastering the mundane, you just become who you hang around. Me and Matt were talking about this, is like, when you're around people that are constantly doing projects and doing the next things. So people get involved in this company and then they immediately go out, or this industry, and they go try to build a YouTube channel or build a people business, and they don't realize that they're not inspired. And then every day, all day, they talk to other people that are also not inspired, that don't know what they want.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's interesting because you even bring up, like, when you talk about you become who you hang around and shit. Like, I, we had like a heart to heart conversation, and I'm like, I just feel like I'm back to like teaching again and not creating, and I don't feel like that's
Right.
what I'm meant to do. I feel like I'm meant to lead and meant to create. Like, that's what I'm meant to do.
Right.
And so since that's the case, it's like, am I back in just teaching mode? Is this why I feel like so uneasy again? And it's like, absolutely. You're teaching people more. You're not in the community collaborating with other creatives anymore. You're just teaching people what to do with
Right.
it. And it's not, and so it's like, all right, get it back in tune with yourself. And then of course, like the next day after that conversation, I'm like, here's a scene from the Sower's Tale. It's
Oh
already,
yeah.
because that comes from that place, right? And how great does it
Right.
feel to like not just, but it reverberates through everything I do, even the work stuff that we're doing together, right? I'm more creative in that space now because I feel more comfortable and trust myself with where I'm going creatively
Right.
with what I'm doing, instead of going, oh, well, maybe it's this or maybe it's that, second guessing constantly what it might be. And it's like, oh, I feel so great when I'm in that leader, confidence, creative role. Like, that's
Right.
just where I feel the most at home. So,
Yeah, and where
that's
some of the
trusting yourself.
emptiness, Matt, thank you for sharing it. So where I think some of this emptiness comes from is when you're constantly all day, every day looking for inspiration.
Yeah.
I'm looking for inspiration and all kinds of stories, every
Mhm.
kind of little story. It can be a child's story. It can be I'm constantly got my radar out there looking for people that just believed in their self this much and what they created inspires the shit out of me. So if I'm one of those people constantly looking for that, while other people are like looking for, and please listen to this. Um, if you're the kind of person that is you were asked, I don't know quite what I want, and I don't know what inspires me, or I don't know the people, I don't have anyone that inspires me right now. You know, I need you to understand that you're unique and there's nothing wrong with your uniqueness. I don't believe that everyone should be the kind of people that are obsessively inspired by people constantly looking for that and plugging into that consistently on a day-to-day basis, being in this thing called Kaizen, never ending improvement. Not everyone can be there, and nor should they be. So I brought that up so that you guys can hear the story of me and my wife going back and forth, having a very intimate conversation. And I bet you that every one of you would have got her answers wrong about her, right? So now on a scale to 1 to 10, she's not here to defend herself, but on a scale to 1 to 10, I don't, I feel sorry for other people. There's no way that you can be this supportive and loving spouse as she's been. But because I'm unique, she was uniquely created for me. That wasn't the way it was when we first met
Yeah, you
because
grow,
someone
right.
because someone was still clueless.
I've went
Clueless
through my own growth
on what
myself.
to do with this
Mhm.
gift that God
Right.
gave me and or whatever the master creator gave me. So my thing is like think about this. A lot of people will watch this and they believe that that person that's there, that's a solid rock, being the most amazing person that they can be, is what you really need. She's my rock. I remember one time that when my mentor met my wife, she wasn't my wife at the time. And he got done talking to her, and I forgot she needed to go someplace or go to the bathroom or something. She walked off, and he just started giggling and laughing. I go, what? And he goes, wow, that's the string on the helium balloon. And I went, "What?" And he goes, "Oh, Matt, he said, "You're a fucking helium balloon, man. The wind's up there and fucking whipping it around, and every day, all day, you're pulling against a string, wanting to go to a little higher height. Let's fucking go. Let's go. We're doing something." And she's the person, the anchor that's holding the string on the helium balloon. And so makes me emotional to say that. So, on a scale to 1 to 10, she's uniquely there for me, but I also know how good of a mom she is. I know
Oh,
how
incredible.
also how good of a bonus mom she's been to my elder son. I also know how good of a daughter she is, a sister that she is. And so you find a way to not be full of shit and accidentally slip into that lady's inner circle. You'll never find a better friend in your fucking life.
Yeah, she's
Mhm.
been friends with the same person, Jolie, which introduced you guys since she was in like what, first grade?
Right.
So, yeah,
So here's where I
incredible.
want to close that. So you're looking at two people that, hey, hey, Robert, what inspired you today? I'll give you some shit, right? And what inspired me yesterday? What inspired me last night? So I'm that helium balloon, right? And then amongst that, you guys look at my wife and just know that there's the yin and the yang. There's the yin and the yang, right? So in my situation, I just want you to know that does that mean that you never are going to gain the dreams that you want or the imagination that you have? No, because I remember when I got involved in MDC, and we blew up the ranks, that I got a lot of calls from people that were very, very upset and pissed off at me. And they're like, well, why didn't you let me know that you're going to get back in the industry? I know the owners of this company really well. They would have wrote you $1 million or $2 million check that come over. And it's like, I said, my thoughts have not changed. And I said, you guys messed up. And they go, how'd we mess up? You should have talked to my wife, because my wife was wanting more. So if you would have called her, then she would have told me and Matt what we were doing next.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, if she didn't do it, she's a little smarter than the average bear. I haven't said that in a long time. But she simply asked Matt and I to help her with her business. And because of the person that she's been to us, the answer was yes, and we'll do it now. And
Yeah.
we'll put in as much effort as we possibly can. And so I think that you guys are probably hearing some unique dynamics that I bet you wouldn't deal. You know, if you ask my wife how many people that she reaches out to a day-to-day basis talking about an opportunity to supplement or replace your income, that's a small number. That's a very small number, because that's not what inspires her.
Right. No, and I think too, it's like really interesting because like when most people like have a hard time finding themselves too, it's always really, really great to have somebody like a spouse to like recenter you and who you are. Or, you know, if you're as fortunate as I am, family, right? To recenter you and to go like, hey, listen, like this is the path you're supposed to be on. Like, stop getting off your fucking path, dude. And but it's the truth though, because all of us have this like going back to like trusting yourself and being inspired. All of us have this element of ourselves that in the back of our mind believes that we're making the wrong decision, even if it's our decision. Right? Oh, if anything, it's like, especially if it's our decision sometimes.
Yeah.
Where it's like,
again, trusting
almost
yourself.
Uncomfortable, right? Yes, trusting yourself. So you like put yourself in this situation where you actually feel comfortable, and then you're second guessing it. And how great is it then to turn around and have like a support network of people going, no, like this is who you are, keep going. You know what I mean? And like, I think even through the process of me and you working together, Dad, like I've learned so much more in how to support you and being what you want to be and who you are through that process, involving myself less in that process, being more of a support network like you have been for me and stuff instead. And it's like the wake up call that's been to not only being a leader, but to like supporting the other people in my life. Because one of the things that took me a while to learn, and I learned really from you, is like to just let people be who they are, where they are. I always had that leader aspect of my mind where I'm like, if you just did this little bit more, right? If you just went this route, you'd get what you want and it would be better. And it was like, for whatever reason, it took me a while to realize that I could draw the whole entire map out for somebody, the battle plan, so to speak, and they're going to go, nah, not my battle.
Not
the way I would do it, you know? And it took me a while to not be frustrated by that, but even like take steps back and go, why the fuck am I even going into building battle plan mode? I'm not in, my goal is to sit down with somebody, and I've learned this from you, but sit down with them and figure out what their battle plans are and help them draw it. Maybe they've never even drawn it before. Maybe they haven't thought about it in a long time. And I've seen you do this so many times. I know even going on this trip, there's going to be people there that are going to be on the trip that you're probably going to inspire and do this with. But that's something that constantly inspires me too, with working with other people and trying to be in that leader roles. It's like, not only how can I be a leader so I can be creative and you can help me build the ideas that I have, but how can I be supportive and servicing the ideas that you have, the things that you want to accomplish and create? How much better of a leader does that make me?
Like, well, I'll give you,
it gives me more confidence in myself. I'll tell you that things will go well.
Yeah, even instead of saying the word leader, you know what I mean? One of the things that I
Yes.
think that we've all done is, again, we constantly are using words to communicate with another human being when we know that each and every individual has a different perception or a different description of that word. It's mind-boggling to us how far we off. And like, so my wife said recently, and we bringing this up on other calls, is she's asked me, please stop using the word leader. And she says, not everyone's a leader. You just look at them and they don't have a following. So, but my wife's not a leader. Does that mean that a person that doesn't have a following and is not a leader can have an impact in the world? Oh my God. You know,
Mhm.
I'm sitting there thinking, every person out there, even though I talked about these two young guys that, won their first world championship, I know I'm going to say something that's going to upset a lot of people, but each one of them have a mother and a father. So what if you're just known as Michael Phelps' mom? You know what I mean? There becomes these groups of people out there that, yeah, they haven't done much with their life. They're just the parents of Albert Einstein. They're just
No, right. That is a huge aspect of it. I've even thought, lately, especially, Dad, because we've been having such great father-son conversations as
yeah,
well.
we have.
Um, it's interesting because I'm like, holy shit, what if one day I have a son that talks to me like me and my dad talk? I'm actually starting to envision the roles being the other direction. Like me being the one that's trying to help them out, me being the one that's trying to understand where they're coming from and what they want and all these things like that. And it's like it's just interesting because you always think about this inspiring person showing up in your life and like
Right.
changing your life, whether you fall in love or whether you meet somebody, great business partner at the right time, right place, or something like that. But then we like completely forget about the growth of the people that surround us and as they grow with us, and the fact that me and you are here and like we can bounce ideas off of one another. I'm like even more excited at some point to make another person to join this
Well,
conversation with
what,
us.
Mhm.
yeah,
But you know what I
what,
mean? That's what I think of
yeah.
more because
Well,
it's
it's
like,
everything.
well,
It's honestly everything, because I know that, Matt and I, being as close as we are, but also father and son, I know sometimes he'll reach out to me going, hey, you know what? What can I do for you today? He'll say, or, what's going on? And I'll just reach out to him and he says, like, well, what can I do for you? And I said, I just want you to be really excited and happy about your future that you're creating. You know what I mean? And I know that some of us might go through life going, that isn't any direction. That like, I was looking for a direction. You know what I mean? It's like, no, because Craig and I are I consider Craig family. We're like, close. Well, he's definitely closer to any brother I have ever had. You
mm,
know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it's mutual.
And so sometimes I'll stretch Craig's comfort zone,
Yes.
and because I love him and I want him to have what he wants in life. And when I try to stress that comfort zone, the one thing that I find out about Craig, and you guys are going to find this really interesting, by the way, is that Craig and I are uniquely different and we don't have the same imagination and goals.
I would say that's similar me and you even. Like it's
And that's okay.
yeah,
Exactly.
That
even
that's
though
okay. So
right.
I'll reach out to Craig and go, you do know how easy this is, don't you? And Craig's like, yeah, yeah, I do. Well, I'm here to help you. You're always there to help me. All right. So what's going on in your life? Um, I'm really excited about this new agent, this new manager, and this addition that I have coming up. See, that's me loving and supporting him, not asking him to do what I think he should do or what I would like him to do.
Right.
Yeah.
But see, that's an inspiration unto itself because you respect Yeah, and this is what I was kind of going to bring into this is
Please.
inspiration is not necessarily like you said earlier, you may not be inspired right now, but if you surround yourself with the right people, you become who you hang around. That inspiration alone could be what will take you to the next level.
Right.
And so, for example, maybe we're trying to find that one thing that everybody wants. Maybe
Right.
we're trying too hard to be inspired by something or someone, and we're just not letting it happen to us.
Wise words, because I think it's interesting when you're dealing with shit. I think you nailed it. When
Nailed
you're
it.
dealing with shit, it's so hard to like force yourself to be inspired by stuff. So you're like, I'm putting myself in front of it, but why am I not feeling
Yeah,
a certain way, right?
exactly.
And
Abraham Hicks talks about that.
Yep. Right.
And we kind of brought that up in the last podcast about, okay, maybe you're pushing in the wrong direction, even though supposedly it's the right direction. And you just got to step back,
So true.
take a moment. And here's where meditation sometimes is really, really good, because if you can shut off everything around you and just let whatever comes into your mind come in, and then, okay, is this something that I can do? Is this something that maybe let me put that on the burner here and see where it is. Sometimes people are not inspired emotionally, boom, right away.
Right.
And so they've got to kind of look at it. And okay, Robert, yes, I think, in a sense, you go pretty quick into doing things. Now, maybe that is also because of the experiences that you've had up to this point, and specifically, but there are a lot of people who don't. They
Right.
don't take that inspired, heartful, emotional point that they're at right now. And so they all of a sudden start to think about it more. And
Right.
because that's the way that they were raised. So they don't trust the heart more than they trust the head. And yet at the same time, there are people who trust more of the heart than the head. And it's got to be that balance, because
Your
sometimes
balance.
your balance, and that's
Not
thank you.
not somebody else's balance.
No,
that's
gotta
the
be
exactly.
difficult
your
part, is
balance.
figuring
It
out
has to
like
be
what that
what,
is for you, for sure.
and that goes back to the last podcast of what do you believe?
Right.
It's true.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
Actually.
I
and
just
again,
thought
how to trust yourself.
I just thought of the scene that probably everyone's seen, but it's that scene where in one of the Rockies, where he can't see out of either one of his eyes. You know what I mean? And he's screaming in the ring for his wife.
Adrian.
Hmm. Yeah.
And everybody that can see that scene can just go, all right, this is emotionally messing me up, unless, that's not your kind of deal. But it was like, now that the fight is over, all I need to be is around the people that got me here. I don't, so
And
you
who
seen
did
this.
he fight for? Who was his inspiration?
Yeah. And everyone looked at her as being nobody. And it's like,
Except
hey,
him.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
No, I see Hannah, my wife, hadn't seen the movie. So a while back we watched it, right? And it's always a reminder every time I watch Rocky that it's like such a multi-layered film. And everybody that's
Mhm.
ever heard of the film goes, it's a boxing movie. I'm not into those kinds of films.
right.
And so you immediately like discount it as some sports movie I'm not gonna watch. When in reality, like the boxing is like 8-10% of the film. Like the final bit, like obviously he's training.
The boxing in the film is just one thing and one thing only. It's a correlation of how we have to go through this thing called fucking life.
It's the overall, yeah, it's what
Growth,
the
yeah.
is for the overall arc of the film. Because if you
Right.
take it from beginning to end, here's a nobody who's just some lug who likes to go to a boxing gym, and all of a sudden he gets inspired.
Well, no, he didn't get inspired. If you remember the thing that they're going, why don't we give a Regs the Riches story?
Exactly.
Really,
Yeah.
it was just a marketing campaign that why don't we just give some loser a shot? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, Adonis Creed wanted to give somebody a shot.
And
Yeah.
they pick him as the loser. And it's like, I
The
don't know
Italian
when.
stallion.
I don't know if
Right.
I'm ever gonna get this shots again.
Yeah, it's a classic underdog story, but like at the same time, I think what makes the film, look at how easy it is to talk movies. What makes the film is like that heart of Rocky and the character of Rocky and his love or seeing Adrian for the way that he does. Like her brother makes fun of her. Everybody calls her like stupid or useless and stuff, except him. He's constantly there telling her how pretty she is, how nice she is, how cool she is. And you see like that progression of their relationship through the films and stuff like that. But it just goes to show
And
like
how she just blooms throughout the movie. You
absolutely
know what I
into her
mean?
own strong character. You know what I
And
mean?
and
Like,
and by the time whatever one ends as she goes through that, I just love that again. It shows people that have incredible um abilities to encourage and make other people believe in themselves that are, everyone's looking at the heroes, but no one's thinking about the family and the people that are wrapped around them that believed in them and said, "Hey, listen, you can do this." That's another part of inspiration. The whole title for today is, what inspires you? And I just really, really came to grips that I'm learning, and this again, I'm really finding I will find the right way to express these feelings that I've had for the last year or so. And it's because if you're trying to build a team of people that want to quit their job and make six figures a year, it's very it becomes very apparent to you very, very quickly that you sometimes attract the people that you are. And if you don't know what you want and you're not inspired and you're not that kind of person that strives to be inspired. See, I think a lot of people get involved in home-based businesses and entrepreneurship because look at the lifestyle, look at the fucking dream. Look at the life that you fucking who doesn't want my life? Are you kidding me? You know? And it's like, but I'm just not going to do anything that Robert does. Well, it's hard to get the uniqueness of my life that was uniquely created for me, and I do the things that are uniquely created for me to do to create this lifestyle, this for other people. What is the word where a mirage? It's just an illusion to them. And isn't that the story? I wanted to bring this up because that's what no one wants to do. No one wants to look at someone's inspiration. If you're not the kind of person that is consistently looking for inspirational stories, so that you can at least dive into them and find out what the whole story of the story is. Because Matt shared with me a lot of stories, and so have Craig, of people that inspired them. And what's I love most about an inspirational individual is all the shit they had to go through to get to where they are.
The hero's journey.
And so that's when people go, "Oh, I'd love to have that lifestyle, but I ain't doing that."
that's so
There's
true.
nothing that
Yeah.
excites me. Nothing excites me to reach out to a stranger and share with them something that inspired me. Nothing. Well, if it's not yours, then why would you beat the shit out of yourself every day for doing something that someone not doing, the stuff that was not uniquely designed for you, but was uniquely designed for somebody else? Because we all do this every day, don't we? We go like Craig brought it up. It's like, oh my God, did you hear so and so is fighting? Or did you hear there's the fourth game of the NBA final playoffs? um, I could give a shit. I do not know. And then Matt reaches out and says a name that, I don't want to ever have Matt feel like his interests are not what mine is, but
I know
he'll
that they're
say,
not.
yeah, he'll say a
I'm not
director's
unaware.
name. He'll say a director's name. He'll find out about a screenplay that everyone's been working on for, 70 fucking years. And all these best people are all combined together to make this happen. And oh, by
Powerhouse.
the way, Dad, didn't you know this director and this screenwriter did these other movies that I didn't go to? And Matt's looked fucking jacked out of his mind.
Exactly. It's the shit I think. Well, it's interesting because it like ties in. What you're saying ties in perfectly to what I was gonna say, which is like, if you're not, and I think I've said this before, but if you're not like thinking about this shit when you're not doing it, then odds are you're not that excited about it. Like,
Amen. Say that again.
if you're
Say
not
it
thinking about this shit
again.
like while you're sleeping or before you go to bed or when you wake up, if you're not like thinking about this shit when you're not doing it, then you're not inspired enough. And I think when the one thing that I got from you that is incredible is I feel like I got and Kyle did too, and Junior as well, but like this engineer tinker mind where instead when I'm excited about something, I don't go towards it with like this worry that I'm going to make a mistake. I go at it with the excitement that I'm going to figure it out along the way.
Gonna figure it out.
And,
Absolutely.
And it's interesting because for the longest time I've wanted to learn music, right? Even to the point that one Christmas I asked for a electric keyboard and I'm like, I'm going to learn music, right? At least piano. So it's been sitting out in my living room for a long time. And so lately I'm like, I would love to just actually get some hobby that has nothing to do with money, marketing, any of that shit like that. Just something I can figure out how to do and enjoy myself. And so I'm like, great, this is it. And so I asked ChatGPT and I start searching and I'm like, what's the easiest way to learn sheet music, to read sheet music? And as I'm searching, it's like, oh, a lot of really major artists learn to play by ear. They actually can't read sheet music. And I'm like, what? The thing that stopped me from learning this for a long time was going, I have to sit down and learn whole new language.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why I've kept myself from learning it. And then now going, oh, some of these artists that you love and respect, and it was similar with film. I was just more excited and it was younger. So it's like, oh, I have to go to film school. Nope, all the filmmakers you love didn't go. You know what I mean? If anything, they said the opposite about it. And so it's like, fuck, okay, now I'm seeing piano as, okay, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to learn to play the music that I've always wanted to play. I can learn to play it by ear. I can learn certain songs and what keys to play and all these things, but I don't have to sit down and learn like this whole back end part of the information that I was honestly keeping myself from starting because I thought that was part of the process, right?
My brother plays bass. Does he know how to read a note of music if I put a sheet music in front of him? No.
Yeah, and apparently that's a lot of people.
He is very good. He just shared with me an album he's working on. It's punk. It's not my style of music, but you know what? I can hear it for what it is, and I can hear that he is the foundation to this band, and that he is doing a really good job at holding it down, being the bass player. I have to admire that in him. The same way, Matt, is he doesn't know a lick of notes. I can look on his staff and I can read the notes, but he is actually playing it because he loves doing it.
Well, I was going to say one last thing about that point too, Craig, is it's like when I talked a second ago and said, right, like if you're not dreaming about it or thinking about it, the reason that didn't come to terms for me like it did for your brother is I don't think and dream about playing piano. It's just something that I've wanted to do in my life. So now it's like, well, if I thought and dreamed about playing piano, I probably would have picked up a piano early on and just started clicking the keys like I do with editing and the other things that I enjoy in my life because I would have been excited about learning it. And I think that's such a huge key that we forget, right? Like what we're excited about and think about. So
those little thoughts in our minds, you know,
the whisper, right?
Yep.
You know,
there he is.
Yeah, it's like we mentally don't know that we don't know. So then what we do is we don't trust ourselves, and we come up with a bunch of steps to where we need to go that's really not there. And
Barriers. Honestly, they're like hurdles. And
yeah,
I'm realizing I do this with a lot of shit that I want to do in life, right?
yeah,
If it's not something that I'm excited about, is say it's just something I've wanted to do, like exercise, I'll like add like hurdles in between me exercising. So
yeah,
then it's like,
Yeah.
well, of course I got to get work done before. It's like, no, you could wake up and get
I
your
got to do
exercise out
this.
of
I
the
got to do
way.
that.
Right,
I got to
yeah.
do this. Procrastinate. Put it off. You know,
I don't
I'm
dream
working through
about
that right now.
exercising.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. It's like
So
I'm trying to focus on some on an audition, and then it's like, okay, I got to step away for a moment. So I push the button to watch a short. Then I push the button to watch the next short. Then the next
right.
short. Then the next short. Then, damn, I got that audition I got to work on right now.
yeah.
Mhm.
And you physically got to pull yourself away. But it's, what it is too is, okay, not only just who inspires you, but what inspires you. Like you've said, Robert, it's like, do I really want to get caught up in this loop of 1 minute shorts, or do I want to get things done
Right.
that
And me,
inspire me?
how I get inspired to do stuff is, again, it's when I can help other people dream. I'll notice that a lot of times for me, I trick myself, because what I'll do is the things that I know that would inspire me to do where I want to go are stuff that I procrastinate on. In the other words, though, if there was something I needed to do to help somebody else get where they want to go, then I'll drop everything and I'll get it knocked out. And it's like, but I'm still a good procrastinator. A lot of people don't realize that, if you really look at people and maybe you find no one inspiring, but the people that inspire me is when you find out how many other things this person can do. You know what I mean? So you hear people like a Steve Martin, you know what I mean? And of course, I'm really telling my age here, and but you look at like all the stuff that Beverly Hills Cop 3, I think, is coming out,
Like Eddie
and
Murphy.
Eddie
Mm-hmm.
Murphy, and you see people like this that just do everything amazing.
Well, didn't you share? Was it
You know
Michael
what I mean?
Glover?
They're just like, oh, they do this, they do that, they do this. So,
Yeah.
Steve Martin, good at telling jokes. He's also a good juggler. It's like, so
Plays in a band.
yeah. So I
Yep.
always
Good
tell
actor.
people, if you look at people that are good at multiple things, it's because they're good, because the majority of the people, and I'm going to be bold here, it's way above 90%, are people that don't really want to get above average at anything. So if you're just a little bit better at playing banjo, or you just can juggle three balls for 1 minute, you really don't. And that's something that inspired me, because when I was young, and the first time that I went to a racetrack, it was instantly, I see two cars run down. And one guy gets his number wiped off his window, means he lost the race, and the other person gets back in line to race the next person. Well, the win the difference between winning and losing was less than tenths or hundredths of a second. And it was like, I got this. I got this. I built a car, and they put me in categories that are people that are competitive to me with that. And now I just have to get gooder. All I got to do is get gooder. You know what I mean? And then the focus is driving's being gooder, but then you got to be a good mechanic, a better engineer. What if my car produced more horsepower? What if my car, hooked up, faster than the other car? And it was just all these little things that made me realize, before I had any mentor, that it really doesn't take much to be above average, because a majority of the people don't trust themselves. They don't believe in themselves. They're not inspired. They don't have anything that inspires them, you know. And so, going back to Terry before we close this off, is that if I ask my wife what does she love to watch? She loves watching people that live in some really nice fucking areas.
Like the housewife shows and stuff.
So, if they, her favorite ones is watching, Housewives of Orange County or Beverly Hills. And she also loves watching these below deck, things because it's like, wow, we're going to put down the anchor and here we are in Greece. And, you're looking at all these homes and then the sun, the sun sets and the sun rises and you're looking at this stuff and you're just like, yeah,
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
worried. The Cabo trip, that will be fun. I'm worried when you guys come back from the Greece trip that you'll be like, what the hell are we
I
doing
guess
here?
where I'm going to move.
Yeah.
Mykonos, here we come.
Right.
Yeah. And so, one of the things I wanted every one of you, and this is more of a mastermind, I always love podcasts because if anybody thinks I know it all, you're madly, madly way off base. I just know that I don't know. And so what I'm constantly trying to figure out, and here's a quick question. If you guys don't mind, I'd like you to, I got to get going. I got another Zoom to jump on. But I wanted you guys to think about this. Okay, so let's say that you're a person that were asked the questions that Terry was asked, right?
Mm-hmm.
Name something or a number of books that have inspired you. Name a person that inspired you. Name something that inspires you. And you just say, no, there's nothing out there. Because what I see a lot of people again is the goal here is not to lie to yourself. All right. So are you pretending to be excited and pretending to be inspired, doing things that are not uniquely designed and created for you? And that's why you procrastinate and that's why you suck so bad. Because there's you think of all the things I procrastinate because I don't want to do something because it's not me and I don't want to do it. And even if I did do it, I don't believe myself and I don't trust myself, so I know I'm gonna fucking suck at it. And you got someone like me that's just telling you, man, I watched a dude skipping rocks and I'm fucking jacked out of my mind. And you're probably going, maybe this guy is just a little weirder than me. Maybe he just fits in a different category that makes him Robert Hollis. No one created another one. And it's like, that's okay. So what's going to make you have a fulfilling life? What's going to make you have, the 5 areas of the life that we talk about? What's going to make you love yourself and believe in yourself more? What's going to make you an individual that's more connected to the people that really you care the most about? How much money really, really do you need to achieve, if any, to get to some of these goals? Because I think that a lot of people are just constantly hanging around and trying to do what other people is. But if you really ask them if that individual they're following inspires them, they might be inspired like I am. I'm inspired by people that do things that others don't. It doesn't mean that I want to learn how to stack plastic cups. It doesn't mean that I'm going to go throw my shoulder out trying to be a good rock skipper. And I know you guys are going to laugh at me when I say this, but I'm not really interested in trying to figure out how to be in the NBA. So now, guess what? Now we're at this place: do you need to be excited? Do you need to be inspired? Do you need to have an imagination that you visually can see that really shakes you on an emotional level? Um, who are you? Who are you? What excites you? What inspires you? Because now I'm saying this to my youngest son, Kyle. It's like I wanted to be for my boys, which I feel you could be for the people that are around you, is really, really challenge them on finding out what really makes them click. And also be there for them that if they try something and that's not it, that who gives a shit? You know, find something else that gets you excited and inspired, like Matt says, when you're and I do have one thing to say. I always tell people all the time, that you know where this spot is, because that spot is, you meet somebody new. And when you meet somebody new, your imagination takes off. And when your imagination takes off and you can't stop thinking about this person, all your thoughts of what you're going to do and how much fun and the memories you're going to create when you see them again. And when you're done seeing them and they go their way, all your thoughts are totally obsessed with when you're going to see them again. Maybe some of you just forgot that if you got that person and now they're with you and now you take them for granted, maybe you stopped imagining these incredible moments that you could cherish with that person. Because it is funny how people will do things for others, but they won't do them for themselves. So that is the magic for me. That is the magic for me. I tell Matt the lifestyle that him and Hannah have, the lifestyle that my wife and Kyle have, it's not them asking me to do it. I'm selfish. I'm extremely selfish in figuring out the people that I love the most, what I'd like to help them create, what I'd like them to focus on, what I don't need them worried about. That's selfish. And I've told Matt and my wife this. Listen, can you guys just tell me some neat experiences that you would like to have so I'll just go out and get them?
I'm starting to myself. I'm starting to learn from that so much that like I think I've learned a lot from you. Obviously, I don't want to add anything because I think everything that you said was just right on the money. I just love and
Right.
appreciate you, Dad. You inspire me. I know we're gonna miss you over the next couple of days because you're gonna be traveling with Mom to Cabo. So I hope you guys have a great time there. I'm looking
Got
forward
it.
to seeing all the pictures and everything.
Oh,
But
it's gonna be fun. And I guess the question that did want to ask though on a
mhm.
mastermind before we close is maybe that's an AI question. It's like do does a person need to be excited and inspired to have a fulfilling life?
Mm.
Ooh,
It's interesting because can you even ask an AI such a human person to person question, right?
that's
It's
a
like I feel
very
like
emotional.
Because these are the
even if you
questions
had it,
I
right?
ask.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right. Bill Gould, my mentor, said in my book, he said, "Hey, it's easy. There's only 3 steps. 3 steps. One, get excited." And he used to say this as a joke. If you're not excited before you call people, run around your house a couple of times. You know what I mean? And he goes, because then when you're calling people, your lack of breath will make them think you're excited about something.
That's
But
funny.
is there a group of people out there that not only are not interested in being inspired, but also they're not interested in being excited?
Right.
Hmm.
Okay. So then the second step is after you're excited, you don't know how you're going to do it, but at least you're excited because you're an imagination. So now what you got to do is tell the world. All day, every major corporation on the planet spent all their time making sure that other people knew they freaking existed.
Right.
So I know people that'll watch this video and, you can log into your online banking or log into your credit card. And up in the upper right hand corner, it says, "Do you want to make $100? Refer this to your friends." And your first thought is, "Nah, that ain't going to happen." But, maybe you should stop telling people that you need money if you won't go. Everything you log into has got a referral link and you go, "Fuck that." So I got excited because I imagined, and then all day with that excitement, I talk to strangers all day, every day. And what's number 3? Number 3 is pay attention, because the way that you be good at something is by finding someone that's already got evidence of doing it with others and just follow them. So Matt has watched me lie to myself and get excited going, I can compete with Tony Robbins. Never been to his seminars. Never gone to one live seminar.
Well, I was gonna
I
say
have
too, his
zero.
lifestyle I feel like is
I have zero interest in learning from that guy. So then I'm going to start a seminar company and a course company to compete against him when I don't like doing that shit. Didn't work good for me. Even when we made money,
yeah.
I was never happy. I was always stressed. Me and Matt would draw out a perfect battle plan to knock it out of the park. And every day me and him would have conversations about absolutely nothing on how to get this plan done that neither one of us fucking wanted to do. So I'm bringing up all this stuff to you guys.
It's like being at war and you're not the one that started it.
Yeah.
You're like, I have to keep
So why
fighting.
did we do this? Why did we do this? We did this because we were pissed off at network marketing because of some people's stupid decisions. I don't want to call them out, Jovan, but people like that. But now I look back and it's a silver lining, right? Because I said I wasn't going to do that. Then I got into coaching, building a brand like Tony Robbins, found out that was not my excitement, not my inspiration. Tony Robbins doesn't inspire me at all. Jim Rohn does. Different styles. See what I mean?
Yep.
You know what I mean? So I just thought I'd throw that out to you guys. And I know I went for a while there, but what's your first thoughts on is it only people that are inspired that are like winning at life?
I did ask ChatGPT, and I even pulled it up on the screen so people can see it in the replay. I did ask if you have to be inspired to live a happy life, and it said no, and gave a bunch of, it says finding happiness without inspiration. Oh, this is the one time it doesn't want to load. One time, I should say. Listen.
Fix it in post.
Listen, OpenAI. I'm one of those people that pays $20 a month and has for a long time. Why does this not work anymore? Or why does this work half the time that it used to? What the hell is going on? But anyway.
I actually left it a message this morning saying, are you working today?
Right, exactly. It's like the first thing it realized is that humans work way too much.
Yeah. No.
So Craig, it just said,
what's your last? Oh, go ahead, Matt. Did it pull up?
Yeah, I did. I was going to say a person can certainly have a happy life without being constantly inspired, though inspiration often enhances the overall quality and fulfillment of life. Hold on, let me switch over to browser here.
Yeah, because like I said, when you first meet somebody and you're in that, for lack of better words, honeymoon place. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're not excited and you're not inspired by the things that could possibly happen between you two during this courtship. I just find that hard to believe.
It'd be weird for me.
Well, everybody goes through that in courtship. Yeah. You have to find out who's good for you and who's not good for you.
Right.
But we have to be willing to admit that there's a few people that might watch this video that still hasn't had that experience.
Exactly.
True.
And they may be just as happy as to kind of bring in your question, like Terry. Maybe nothing inspires them. Maybe they're happy where they are at, and they're willing to just do what they want to do. That's on them. That's where their happy place is. That's where they feel the best, and they don't have to go out and do the things that other people think, feel, or desire that inspires them. They're fine to be maybe riding somebody's coattails, maybe helping somebody because they don't want to be in the spotlight, or maybe they just want to go from point A to B to Z, meaning your full life, and they just want to be able to live and experience what happens to them. And that is, if you want to call it their inspiration, then fine.
Right.
But they don't need somebody to do that.
Right. I met this guy in closing, you guys, that I've had two people like this. One is when I really got comfortable in network marketing. I remember going to the Sherman Oaks Galleria in Sherman Oaks, California. And I was going around looking for someone to talk about how great my business is. Man, I'm jacked out of my mind. And I'm talking to strangers all day, every day. And I walked up to this guy, and he had the biggest smile on his face, and he was whistling, and he was mopping the floor. And I walked up to him and I said, hi. And he turns around, and he was had broken English. He said, hello. And I said, wow, it looks like you're happy. And he said, 2 days ago, I had my first child, a son. And he said, I've been married for a little over a year. And he goes, I worked my butt off to get to this country. And he says, and now my wife and I have a new baby boy. And he goes, I'm the happiest person you'll ever meet. And I went, I know this might go against my mentor's beliefs, but I think I'm going to leave this dude alone. You know what I mean? I don't know if he's going to be happy forever, or maybe he's still there. But I could immediately understand that in the fulfillment and how happy he was, that I needed to leave him alone. I just told him that I was happy for him. And another one is I met this guy. Golly, this is one of the biggest human beings I've ever met. And he walked up, and this guy says, I want you to meet Chuck Thomas. And I said, okay. And I said, hi, Chuck, how are you? And he goes, great. And he goes, I understand that you do very well at this business. He says, I want to learn how to do it. And he says, I think that I can figure it out. And I go, really? I said, what'd you do before this? And I was a football fan. Oh my God, I was a football fan. And he looked at me and he goes, oh, he says, I'm a 4-time Super Bowl champion. And I went, Chuck Thomas. I'm looking at him just totally embarrassed. And I go, well, who did you play for? And he said, the San Francisco 49ers. And I went, how would I know you? And he goes, well, every time Joe Montana threw the ball, I gave it to him first. I'm Joe Montana's center. I hike him the ball. And I was like, you think about that guy and how great he was. And the one thing that he didn't have to worry about is getting the ball in his hands at the right time. And that guy made sure that no one touched him. And it's like, wow, you look how big this guy is. I mean, how many points or how famous Joe Montana is. And I bet you could walk up to a lot of people and go, who's Joe Montana's center? He goes, every ring that Joe Montana has got, I was a center. And I got chills right now. And it's like, so maybe part of your inspiration is just doing what you do good that makes you fulfilled to help somebody else or the team get where they're going. Because if you're one of those people, I want to say thank you and how much I love and appreciate you for just being who you are, constantly doing shit that you do every day that no one else wants to do. So, Matt and Craig?
I think that's a perfect place to end it.
There it is.
No,
Exactly.
I agree. Thank you guys so much. Thank you. And thank you, Dad. Craig.
You bet.
Love and appreciate you guys.
Love and appreciate you, Matt, Robert. Wow. And ladies and gentlemen, you can follow Robert Hollis at roberthollis.com. Also, if you'd like to join our exclusive community, the Inner Circle, you can join us by going to roberthollis.com/join to register. There's going to be lots of great exclusive content, and you'll be able to participate in our special breakthrough sessions as part of the Imaginators and Inner Circle to help you go to the next level. Please don't forget to like and share this video on YouTube and with others. It'll help our community grow and reach those with ears to hear. Guys, thank you. Bless you. Shout out to our executive producer and visionary, Matt Hollis. And of course, Robert Hollis. Wow. GPS to success and inspiration to many others. I'll say that as we close. And thank you for joining us, for being here and taking time out of your busy schedule to be part of Unlimited Wisdom. My name is Craig A. Jackman. Please be good to yourselves, be cash, and until next time, bye for now.
See you, everybody.